subsequently and promptly directed the immediate detention of the 4 police involved and the informant that I'm parading before you today. And equally directed at the Inspector General of Police Monitoring Unit to investigate the search by police personnel on the resident of the Elder Statesman, Chief Edwin Clark. The name of the informant is Ismail Yakubu of Waru Village, Abuja. After this press release, because in our second press release yesterday, I made it abundantly clear that immediately after we show him to the press and the public, it's going to be arranged in court for the offenses of giving false information and telling falsehood to mislead police action. I go further. The first wishes to categorically state that the Inspector General of Police is not aware and did not order the raid of the resident of the Elder Statesman, Chief Edwin Clark. Consequently, the Inspector General of Police has directed the detention and investigation of the 4 police personnel and the informant involved, and ordered that the outcome of the preliminary investigation into the matter be made public. So at this stage, we have carried out the preliminary investigation. Other deep investigation is still going on, as it has to do with the personnel that were involved.
However, a high-powered delegation has already been dispatched to Edwin Clark's home to tender apologies, which the police acknowledge have been accepted by the Ijaw leader, while the informant, now turned suspect, is to face trial.
A non-governmental organization, the Save Humanity Advocacy Center, is seeking a review of the operations of the multinational joint task force fighting insurgency. The group's executive secretary, Ibrahim Abubakar, made this call at a press briefing. Abubakar lamented the poor reportage of efforts by the Nigerian military to combat Boko Haram. He described many of the reports as pure propaganda skewed to threaten the position of the insurgents.
The terrorists, they've been allowed free passage to retreat back into these countries after carrying an attack on the Nigerian soil. This has left us wondering how much of the behavior of these countries is dictated by their colonial loyalty to France. Even as a member of the MNJTF, these countries have allowed the unrestrained flow of weapons from the Middle East and Libya to Boko Haram insurgents. It will be interesting to learn how these firearms could cross through their countries into the hands of Boko Haram without doing damages in their own territories. The interests of France in the Lake Chad Basin are well documented. Since the prospect of oil exploration in the region improved, the hand of France has become recurring decimal in the terrorist equation unfolding in the region. Countless times we've seen situations where French nationals have been intercepted among the terror group. And you begin to ask, why are they always there?
President Muhammadu Buhari has won the crucial support of the Chinese President Xi Jinping for the country's aspiration to build the 30-50 megawatt Mambila hydroelectric power project. Presidential spokesman Garba Shehu confirmed this development in a statement in Abuja on Wednesday. He revealed that Nigeria and China also signed the agreement of $328 million for the information and communication ICT sector. Now, the backbone of the Phase 2 project is the concessional loan agreement between Galaxy Backbone Limited and Hawaii Technologies Limited, was signed by Nigeria's Minister of Finance Kemi Adeosun and Wang Yuta, Director General International Development Agency, in the presence of Buhari and Xi Jinping. The presidential aide disclosed that Nigeria and China also signed a memorandum of understanding for the One Belt, One Road initiative. He said Nigeria's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Geoffrey Nyama, and he Lieutenant Director China's National Development and Reform Commission signed both. The Nigeria Consolidated Ambassador Network have obtained the expression of interest and nomination forms valued at 45.5 million naira for President Buhari. National coordinator of the group, Sanusi Musa, says that they The move became necessary because the president has enough goodwill, which informed their resolution. Members of the group were received at the APC national headquarters by the national chairman, Adams Oshomole. Now moving away from that, the presidency has admitted that President Muhammadu Buhari is uncompromising, but noted that it is only when it comes to checking loose of public funds. Presidential spokesman Femi Adesina stated this in a statement in Abuja in response to former Vice President Atiku Abubakar's allegation against his principal. Abubakar was quoted by a foreign news medium as accusing President Buhari of being, quote, very uncompromising, also power drunk, and will not be ready to leave power without a fight, unquote. But the presidential aide said it was also wrong for the former vice president to accuse President Buhari of being power drunk and not ready to leave power without a fight. According to him, the president has demonstrated that he's a committed Democrat and have no apologies about that. He added, quote, if there's any person not intoxicated by power, it is the President Buhari, and scores of millions of Nigerians know this. That this is why they will invest in him with power again next year, knowing that he won't misuse or misapply what has been trusted to him, unquote. Our presidential aspirants in the All Progressive Congress are now to pay 45 million naira to obtain the party's nomination forms. APC has also fixed its direct primary for September 20th. The party national organizing secretary, Ima Ibediru, revealed this in a schedule and timetable published on Tuesday night in Abuja. Aspirants for the governorship post would pay 22.5 million naira for both expression of interest and nomination forms. Those seeking election into the House of Representatives would pay 3.8 million naira and the Senate 7 million naira. For their part, House of Assembly aspirants will pay 850,000 naira. The ruling party has meanwhile taken a swipe at Senate President Bukola Saraki over his presidential ambition. Saraki had, while announcing his interest, pledged to address infrastructural deficiency through what he described as aggressive financial initiatives. But APC, through its spokesman Yakini Nabena, says the Senate President is, quote, an abysmal failure and is totally incompetent, unquote. It's claimed that there are no record of performance to show for Saraki's two-term tenure as governor and 3-year Senate presidency. APC argued that the road network in Kwara State are in a deplorable condition while state resources are mismanaged through corrupt enrichment. And as for the Senate President's position that he was heeding the clarion call of youths, the ruling party says it was not aware of any meeting of Nigerian youths where the decision was taken. It also made reference to how the Not Too Young to Run group berated Saraki for using their forum to make his presidential declaration. Similarly, meanwhile, the Senate President's media team has dismissed the latest criticism from the ruling party. They also described APC spokesman Yakini Nabena as faceless and challenged him to a debate with one of Saraki's aides. Senate President spokesman Yusuf Olanionu said in a statement that his principal would be distracted by, quote, the antics of would not be distracted, rather, by, quotes, the antics of an upstart who lives in Abuja with signed press statements composed for him from Lagos, unquote. He maintained that Saraki does not have any credibility issues and wondered why APC was bothered by an aspirant from another political party. Olanionu concluded that the ruling party was scared of the possibility of Saraki's candidacy. Nigerian electorate will have a variety of options in the 2019 elections as more presidential aspirants are emerging with promises. One of them is Johnson Edusonwan of the Nigerian Democratic Congress Party. He is convinced that Nigeria has what it takes to have a minimum wage of 300,000 naira, that is about $1,000.
But if I'm paying you 18,000 naira a year, how can I expect you to be able to travel and not be late for work? How are you going to, where is your transportation to come? And then where's your housing that you're going to stay to be happy? How are you going to feed your three, member family. I, as a CEO, need to be concerned about that. So, therefore, I got to make an assessment that if I want to be competitive, I got to pay my employee well. And then my product will also want to be competitive. Those employees will bring their creativity and their know-how to do so. In that way, for example, if my competitor are charging 5 cents or 5 naira per 1 minute of phone call, I can afford to charge 4.8 and be competitive and take the volume from them and then pay my employee well. So through competition. That is very, very important, because when you look at those components today, when you pay your employee and they show up for work 2 or 3 hours late, and then they said, well, because there was no bus. What you going to say? There's no bus, there was no bus for them to get down there. But if you paid them well and they were able to get a bicycle to ride down there, they will be there on time.
News just reaching us is the press statement from the police on the dismissal from service of 3 of the police personnel and interdiction of the Assistant Superintendent of Police involved in the unauthorized, illegal and unprofessional misconduct in the search of elder statesman Edwin Clark's residence in Asokoro, Abuja on the 4th of September 2018. It goes thus. The Inspector General of Police has approved the dismissal from service of Nigerian Police Force 3 inspectors, namely Inspector Godwin Musa, Inspector Sada Abubakar, and immediate intervention of AP David Dominic, who were involved in the unauthorized, illegal and unprofessional misconduct in the search of the residence of elder statesman Chief Edwin Clark. Now, Dominic was queried and being investigated for discreditable conduct, negligence of duty, and an act on becoming of the police officer, which constitutes serious misconduct and, if not checked, may be inadmissible to the image of the Nigerian police force. Now, the IGP approved that Dominic be on interdiction from service pending the determination of his case by the Police Service Commission. It also says the suspect's informant, Ismail Yakubu from Waru Village, Apo, has been charged to Upper Area Court, Pape, Abuja, for giving false information and telling falsehood that misled the police. The statement was signed by DCP Jimo Moshood, Force Public Relations Officer of Force Headquarters, Abuja. Now, away from that, it's barely a few months to the 2019 general elections, and political parties are not leaving any stone unturned. Now, one of the newly registered political parties, the Grassroots Development Party of Nigeria, says it is not opposed to promoting active participation of women and youth in politics. This, as the party says, is with a view to further deepen democracy and create a platform for younger politicians riding on the Not Too Young to Run Act.
These are members of one of the newly registered political parties by INEC. They have converged on Abuja for the maiden convention of their party. But first, they have to affirm the party's National Working Committee as recommended by INEC guideline for political parties.
We accept them as the National Executive. GDP led by the progressiveness of GDP from this time to another 4 years.
For his part, the national chairman of the party charges members to support the party in bringing the much-needed change the country desires.
Please, I urge everyone here to please let us put our hands on deck and move this party to the highest state.
The party insists that women and youth have what it takes to move and rule the country forward.
We have been working for the past 2 years, so we have structures everywhere. We are known everywhere, so they know us, so there is nothing new. To us, it is just a continuation of what we have been doing for the past 2 years.
This GDPN is gender policy for women, because this GDPN, they have 40% affirmative action for women. So I will make sure that I strategize all the women to fill in the positions that GDPN will give us 40%.
Today it showed in the delegation and the number of people that were part or that made part of the leadership of the party. GDPN is a party for the youth, a party that has made the right provisions and necessity for youth to survive. Everything that is happening in the country currently favors the youth. Definitely we are out and ready to make things happen in Nigeria. And we are not just saying, though circumstances might not favor us as much as possible in terms of finances and other things, but we are no longer in the era of politics of money, or is a politics of understanding now. People now know, and it's high time that youth take the front seat and make things happen. One thing that we desire is that everybody come together, bring hands together. The youth should not form fractions. Let them support each other, and let's see how far we can go with this drive.
Political watchers are of the view that the new political parties would have to be ideologically driven if it will make any meaningful impact in the next elections. Emmanuel Ejine, PTV News, Abuja.
All may not be going smoothly for the incumbent Benue State Governor Samuel Ortom, who is nursing a second-term ambition, and this is because more aspirants are indicating interest in seeking the sole ticket under the People's Democratic Party. The latest in the fold is the former NAFDAC Director General, Paul Ohi. Paul Ohi seems not to be worried about the zoning arrangement in this state that has been in existence for some time now. Ohi argued that the present political zoning arrangement in the state does not cover second-term ambition. He claimed that second term should be earned based on performance.
Well, I think at this time it is not about zoning, it's about transforming the state for the benefit of the people. Even if it is zoning, zoning is usually one term. The second term you earn it by performance. I think this area has already done one term. And in fact, if you go back in history, you will see that where I come from, I come from Zone A, Ushungu local government area in Zone A, we had the first civilian governor, Governor Peraku. He did only 4 years. In fact, we had another governor, the civilian governor, Adasu. He did only just two years. But we moved on. So here we have done 4 years. Only Governor Kumbe and Governor Soswan were able to do 8 years, but it was because of their performance. The second term, they almost lost the elections. In fact, Governor Kumbe almost lost the election to Paul Nongo when he ran in 2003. So I was very politically active then, and I know what happened.
Aside from not being perturbed over the political zoning arrangements in the state, Ohi is also laying claims of knowing the way out of what he described as a bad situation Benue State has found itself under the leadership of Governor Ortom.
Definitely I'm not one of those that have stepped down. I cannot say if there are others that have stepped down, but definitely, as you can see, I'm not one of the aspirants that has stepped down. Because the issues that motivated me to go into governorship are still there. If you eliminate the issues, then I will step down. If the issues are no longer there, if salaries have been paid, if pensions have been paid, if the security has been provided for the people, if infrastructure is being done, schools are being built, hospitals are being repaired so that people can have access to good health care, then I will have no reason to run for governorship. But as long as the issues are there, I'm a candidate.
PDP governorship aspirant Benue State Governor Samuel Ortom had earlier stated that he was moving to the PDP, where he had a family and a party he contributed to build. But will he have an easy ride for a second-term ambition? Only time will tell. The Ogun State House of Assembly has rejected the defection letters of 2 members for failing to prove the existence of crisis or division in their party. Speaker Suraj Adekunbi said this while reacting to the submission of Majority Leader Yinka Mafe, who spoke after the Speaker had read the defection letters during plenary in Abeokuta. Adekunbi had read a separate letter intimating the House that B. Adeleye and Harrison Adeyemi had defected from the All Progressive Congress to the People's Democratic Party. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission said politicians defecting from one party to another would not be shielded from prosecution. Acting EFCC Chairman Ibrahim Magu reaffirmed this at a media chat in Lagos. He said there is no hiding place for such politicians in EFCC's fight against corruption. Responding to alleged interference by the ruling All Progressive Congress, Magu said he had never received any instruction to stop any investigation. The EFCC chairman said it had become fashionable for anyone being investigated for corruption by the Commission to scream political persecution. Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Walter Onogen, has said the rule of law is an essential element in any democratic society. Justice Onogen spoke at the National Workshop for Chief Registers, Deputy Chief Registers, Directors and Secretaries of Judicial Service Commissions at the National Judicial Institute, Abuja.
It's the 2018 edition of the National Workshop for Judicial Officers, and the